Welcome to Financial Revelations. I am David Safransky, your host. You can get me on Twitter at SkiBucks, the number 1, 1-800-344-2534. If you have questions, you can call here. This very office up front, just that way over my left shoulder, a few offices. WCRF every Thursday morning, 8 to 9 a.m. And you can, if you have the Moody Radio App, you can listen to me anywhere, even on the space station. I don't have confirmation that they've done that yet, but wouldn't surprise me. Questions, Corey at epsf.com. And we have some listener questions today. And, we go to the Amazon every year. We're bringing the pastor from the Amazon to the United States next September, October. They're going to be speaking at churches. You could be part of it. I'm going to hold a workshop. He will be at it. nativosusa.org. And we also have an Instagram page, nativos_USA, and a Facebook page. Last night, what I really want to talk about today is a couple things, but I want to start with the politics, because politics and money go hand in hand. One affects the other, and of course, there's a lot of money in politics. Just ask, it was funny because there's a Congressman, Matt Getz, you probably have heard him, and so he's from Florida, he's conservative, he's a Donald Trumper. And he said yesterday that you can't even bribe a Democrat senator with money anymore. You got to bring gold bars because the value of the dollar is falling so much. Because Bob Menendez, the senior senator from New Jersey, is under indictment. Doesn't mean he's guilty. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty. So there could be a perfectly good explanation of why he shoved $400,000 in his pockets and had gold bars and suit pants. There could be a totally reasonable explanation for that. And it's true, there could be. So we'll find out. He's going to probably have to go through a trial, but I just thought it was funny. And last night was the second Republican debate. Now, I didn't watch it. I can't do that to myself. It's basically people saying, well, if I were king for a day, this is what I would do. Well, even when you're president, as most presidents find out, you're still not king for the day, because people take you to court and they sue you and you have to deal with Congress. And if, as Joe Biden is finding out right now, when the House and the Senate are split, you don't get nearly as much done. And I know that sounds bad, but it's actually good for Americans, because when Congress isn't doing much, they're not enacting new laws, rules, and regulations on us. Now, the downside is there are a lot of rules and regulations that need to be done away with. One of the things that Donald Trump did as president was cut regulation. And I think we need to go back to a time where these agencies like the EPA, the FBI, the NSA, you name it, the Energy Department, have less power to enact rules, because those are unelected officials. They'll just come in and say, well, you can't dig a lake on your property. That's against the rules. And they'll sue you. They did this to somebody, sued him for like $55 million. He took him to court. They tried to bankrupt him. The guy actually won. He eventually won. They had to pay back all of his but they put you through these things and make you take him to court. But so I did not watch the debate. It's unnecessary. DT is your nominee. It's going to be Donald Trump. He's 50 points ahead of everybody. In my estimation, there's only one person on that stage last night that is worthy of being president, if it's not Donald Trump. And it's not Chris Christie. It's not Asa Hutchinson. It's not the guy from North Dakota. I love Vivek Ramaswamy. I've been talking about him long before he started running for president, because he came out really strong against the DEI people, the diversity, equity, and inclusion people, and ESG. He was like one of the first big money managers to come out against it, speaking harshly against it outside of me. And so he caught my attention. And then the next thing I know, he's running for president. And he does have a lot of good ideas, but he's new. This is his first go around. He's not going to be elected. The only person on that stage last night that is worthy of being president is Ron DeSantis. And the reason is because he is an extremely successful governor in the state of Florida. Now, he's running a really bad campaign. It's extremely poorly run. Nikki Haley doesn't stand a chance. So I didn't watch the debate because it's meaningless. Donald Trump is your nominee. He's so far ahead. And I know there's a lot of time and a lot could happen. That's true. So, but if anybody rises out of that, it's going to be Ron DeSantis. The other thing about politics that I want to talk about is impeachment. They're doing an impeachment inquiry right now, and it's going to happen. Joe Biden is going to be impeached. He's going to be impeached, and it's going to go to a trial in the Senate. If the House delivers articles of impeachment to the Senate, they have to hold a trial, and they're going to do that. Now, the timing is, the way the Republicans are working it, the timing is so that the impeachment trial will be in the election cycle, and that's why it's taking a while to do, because the election cycle doesn't really start. I know we're a little bit more than a year away from the presidential election. The actual campaigning for president starts in the new year. Now, when Donald Trump ran against Hillary Clinton, it seemed like it started really early, earlier than normal. But the election season is January 1st through November. They don't even have the conventions until like February, March. So you're not going to even know. But I mean, we know. We don't know who the Democrat nominee necessarily is going to be because there's an impeachment coming. So, but that's going to happen. The Senate has to hold a hearing. Even though it's run by Democrats, they're going to have to hold a hearing. When Donald Trump got impeached, I think he had a Republican Senate. I'm pretty sure. He had to, because he was getting the judges that he wanted. So, gosh, time flies. You forget. I forget things. So, but easily to go look up. Yeah, he had a Republican Senate. So they're going to hold a hearing. I don't know what it'll be like, but, remember when the Democrats, when Nancy Pelosi, and they walked, and Jerry Nadler, who he wears what I call nipple pants, because he pulls his pants all the way up to like right here. Who makes pants that you could pull up that high? If he pulled them up any higher, it would count as a COVID mask. So anyway, they're walking... Jerry Nadler in his nipple pants. They're walking the articles of impeachment over. It's very solemn, and I hope they do. I hope the Republicans do the exact same thing. I hope they do the exact same thing that the Democrats did to Donald Trump when there was no evidence. It was a hoax. The Russian collusion thing never happened. It was a setup from the start. They all knew it. They lied. Yesterday, there was unearthed by James Comer in the House, the Oversight Committee chairman, a wire that Hunter Biden had sent with Joe Biden's name on it, $250,000 from a Chinese communist, and they used Joe Biden's home address for the wire. He knew. And so these things are going to come out. And it's going to be, one of the things that I want people to do is I want you to be prepared a little bit. I don't want to scare people. One thing I don't want to do is I don't want to scare you. You don't have to go out and run out and buy gold. Even if you did, what do you do with it once you have it? Those are the things that I think about, the functionality of it. I understand owning precious metals, but if you're going to use it for a true hedge against inflation, are you going to take that to the grocery store? No, you're not. You're just not going to do that. So I want you to have a couple weeks of food and water and things like that going into this presidential election, just in case. In 2019, people took over 6 city blocks in Portland and called it Chaz. The police wouldn't even go in there. So you got to be wise, and there is a lot of unrest. And if Donald Trump is the nominee, which I think he's going to be for the Republicans, and it looks like he's going to win, the George Soroses of the world are going to be delivering pallets of bricks like they did before. When those riots were happening in 2019, trucks were dropping off pallets of bricks. Well, who paid for those? It's like when migrants show up at the border and they're wearing all the same T-shirts and they have cell phones. Who paid for those? Where do they get the money? They're getting it from George Soros's foundations. So that's going to happen. We also have some of the politic of the day, too, is that we have oil at $94 a barrel. Prices are rising. Inflation is still real. I think the real inflation number is about 5.5%, 6%. And the only reason why I think that is because I happen to fill up my tank with gas and eat food. And maybe you do the same things. I don't know. But things are expensive. Bond yields are spiking. Yesterday, the 10-year government bond is approaching 5%. We're within spitting distance of 5%. And that's kind of a threshold number. A lot of people think that the yield curve is going to uninvert. I don't think it is, because the 1-year rate, unless I was seeing 5.5, so it's the first time I saw that, was yesterday. Also leads me to say, in the corporate bond market, you're starting to get close to 7.5% on some high quality bonds. So we're going to do a quick hit on bond yields today, so look for that later. So I want to go to a listener question. The government shutdown is looming. How will I write things down on a board over here to my right? I'm not like looking away from you guys, but I have to read some things that I wrote down. How is that going to affect us, the government shutdown? And if our credit rating is downgraded, does that hurt us, and how? First of all, when we shut down the government, we really only shut down about 5 or 6% of the government. And yeah, some people aren't going to get paychecks, and I don't like that part of it because there are good people in government, but I think it's incumbent on us as Americans to have a healthy suspicion of our government. That's quintessentially American, and I do. I was in the military, and I saw how the military treats its members. The pay stinks. They get it wrong a lot. The food stinks. They burn it a lot. You get out, and you have a medical need, and in the past, now this is getting better, and under Donald Trump, you were allowed to use any doctor, not just the VA. But even the VA is getting better. But for many, many years, people were treated very badly as sick soldiers. So I don't like that. But if we get downgraded, it doesn't hurt us. We're the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry, the United States. Without us, the world's economic system kind of falls apart. And there's a lot of reasons for that, too many to get into right here. But I'm not worried about a credit downgrade. I laugh in the face of credit downgrades of the United States. Who are they going to go to? Russia? China? France? Germany is in a depression right now. Most people don't know that. But Germany's GDP growth is negative for 2 quarters in a row. They're in recession. They are the industrial economic engine of Europe, and they're in recession. So that's coming. It's coming here. I do think we're going to go into a recession. Might be a mild recession, and we've had those before. But I'm not worried about a government shutdown. Okay. The next listener questions was headwinds to the economy. Are there headwinds to the economy? And I thought, yeah, there are some headwinds. For one thing, college loan repayments start next month. That's going to be billions of dollars out of the economy. I love investing in education for people. Give people loans. I think that the relationship between college cost and guaranteed loans is difficult and tenuous because it allows colleges to constantly raise the price of college education. College education costs rise dramatically higher than normal inflation rates. It's not even close. So you're going to get those college loan repayments coming out of the economy. And next week, we're going to talk about a government program about how to limit your loan repayments based on your income. It's a pretty good program. You still got to pay it back, which is only right, but we'll talk about that next week. The other headwind is the UAW strike/lockout. And if I were the automakers, I would lock out the auto workers. I love the auto workers. They definitely deserve a raise because the Biden administration has made costs go so high that their income has not kept pace with inflation. So yes, they deserve raises. They definitely do. But what the union chiefs are going to bankrupt those companies and are going to put those people out of work. And they're not afraid of that because they think that the Democrats will bail out the auto companies like President Obama did in 2008 when he circumvented 162 years of bankruptcy law and just said, we're going to do this. Well, that's what they're expecting. So the UAW leadership is overplaying their hand. They're hurting the workers, but the workers, this is the backbone of America. We need the UAW workers. We want the UAW workers. We want them to make more money, but it's got to be in measure. One of the things that they're asking for is defined benefit plans to come back. It's not happening. And then, of course, the government shutdown will take some money out of the economy, but that's the third headwind, and it's the most minor out of all of them, is the government shutdown. So I think that the auto companies are going to probably lock out the workers and try and break that strike fund that they have. I would implore the frontline workers, the UAW workers, to address their leadership and say, look, you can't bankrupt the average UAW worker makes about $80,000. The average Tesla worker, $35,000. Those costs can't compete. If the union got everything they wanted, it would add $3,000 to $5,000 to almost every car, just in cost. You priced yourself out of the competition. So you can't do those things and expect to be successful. I don't care how much I love an F-150. If a comparable product is $5,000 less, I have to give it a look. So I do think we're going into a recession next year. I think it'll be potentially mild, but we're going to have to wait and see. Remember, there's a quick hit coming out today on bond yields. Look at the website for Nativos. I'd love for you to give us your opinion on it, things that we could improve, do differently, something that you want to see that you don't see. If you want to go on a trip, you can contact us because, we may take you. Costs a little bit of money, but you could afford it. You listen to me, you're making money. I am David Safransky, a real American, a true red-blooded patriot, and the voice you can trust.